The company essentially created a category of decentralized renewable energy systems called mini grids. And we use solar panels, biomass gasification, and batteries that generate electricity. And then we also set up distribution poles and transmission lines. And essentially we go into unelectrified or poorly electrified communities in rural Africa and bring those communities electricity for the first time, plus in addition to the electricity, an assortment of energy services that we also provide.
When you talk about rural Africa, can you be a little bit specific?
There's about 1 billion, maybe 1.2 billion, I think, people in all of Africa. About half of those people are still unelectrified, and they all live in rural areas. Some in peri-urban, but mostly rural areas. So we're talking about 600 million people, 500 million people without electricity, and that's across sub-Saharan Africa primarily. So, any place outside of a main urban center, that would be peri-urban or rural. These are essentially unelectrified communities, and have been so for decades, and reliant entirely on kerosene or on diesel generators for any power that they do have. These are largely agrarian communities with large farming, mostly farming activities, agriculture, but also, many large towns, villages that have a fair amount of economic activity, small retail shops, et cetera.
Any specific countries that you've invested in so far?
So 2 so far, Tanzania and Nigeria. Nigeria being the largest unelectrified country, the largest unelectrified population in sub-Saharan Africa, about 90 million people. So almost half of the population of Nigeria is without access to any electricity. Tanzania's got a better rate of electrification, but still a huge population that's unelectrified. And then we're also looking at other countries in sub-Saharan Africa. You have countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is about 60 million people unelectrified, Ethiopia, and many other countries, Madagascar, Mozambique, Angola, Mali, Francophone Africa in the West also.
What does it take for somebody to tap into your mini grid?
In Nigeria, the case of Nigeria, we're importing solar panels, smart meters, inverters, etc. The things you need to actually run one of these mini grids. And then what we do is offer our services to people on a pay-as-you-go basis. So all of our connections are smart metered, so we can monitor how much energy is being used by any particular customer, whether it's a business customer or a household. And we work with our customers to help them understand, based on their income, based on the types of appliances they may already have in their home or the ones that they want to buy, how much electricity they would need. And then we at the beginning of each month, assuming that we connect them to our mini grid, they pay a fee.
How are you bringing AI into the mix here to supply electricity?
With the role of technology and artificial intelligence in our business model is really, really important. You can imagine that we're building mini grids in parts of countries that are hard to reach. For example, in Nigeria, to get from Abuja, where our country office is, to the sites that we've electrified so far, it's a 5 to 6 hour drive. Because it's hard to get to them, it's also can be very expensive to service them unless you're able to automate your operations as much as possible. And that's where digital solutions like IoT, artificial intelligence and machine learning, smart metering, these become critical aspects to our ability to scale our operations in a cost-effective, capital-efficient way. If we don't use AI, for example, to help with demand load profile and managing that load profile, we have to instead use people to do that, or other means to do that. It becomes expensive to the point where operating the mini grid doesn't become viable over time, right? So the whole focus of digitization is to drive our costs down as much as possible, to bring that levelized cost of energy, the cost of energy to, ultimately our goal is to be around 20 cents per kilowatt hour.
Thank you so much for your time, William.
Paul, it's been a pleasure. Great to see you.
William Brent, Chief Marketing Officer, Husk Power Systems, spoke to us from Barcelona, Spain.